Good afternoon, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good day and God bless you. Let's get into the news. And a huge win for President Trump against these Democrats who continue to harass him. In the House of Representatives, they know they're about to lose their power. They're doing whatever they can in order to try to harass them, while they still have the little bit of power that they have. Looking to the Supreme Court to release President Trump's tax returns to them so they can continue to leak as much as they want so they can damage him in the 2024 elections. This is not about anything outside of getting Trump, arresting Trump, throwing Trump in prison, ensuring all of his supporters are thrown in prison. That is the Democrat way at this point. And the Supreme Court just ruled in a huge way in favor of President Trump. So let's go and dive into it. Coming to us from Not the Guardian, I was going to dailymail.com over here, says Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts delays handover. Trump's tax returns to Congress, victory for next president who argued Democrats only want to file for political reasons. Roberts temporarily blocked Congress from getting a hold of Trump's taxes. Trump's legal team filed an emergency appeal Monday to stop the handover. They claimed Democrats want the files for a purely political reason. That's true. Without court's intervention, the records could have been transferred this week. It's the latest twist in a long battle between Trump and Congress. If Republicans retake the House, they will likely end a bid to get those records. And that's what the Democrats are so worried about. They want their hands on the documents, they want their hands on what's in those tax returns for whatever reason, in order to make sure they leak it to the media, and the media will do the rest for them. Because the media is the enemy of the people. The media is the arm of the Democrat Party. And that's what they will do. They will take what is linked to them, and they will run stories on it 24/7 in order to try to stop Trump in 2024. That is the main goal of these losers in Congress right now. And that's what they're currently working on. So a big win for President Trump in the Supreme Court with Chief John Roberts ruling in their favor. And of course, Democrats across the board over on Twitter and other social media sites are losing their minds, and they're recalling for packing the court, because they cannot get their way. The Supreme Court has not been a friend of the Democrat Party this year, and they want to continue to try to expand it to whatever number it is they want. Who knows, right? Because they can't get their way. This is what Democrats do when they can't win. They have to change the rules, change the game in order to continue to hold on to that a little bit of power that they have. And then some significant news, another race, I'm fairly certain is going to end up in the R column. The overwhelming trend in these races is heading one direction, folks. You can see it with the data. And most importantly, you can see it with the voters, and all of these focus groups that we have been covering over the last couple of weeks. We keep seeing the same thing over and over and over again. The number one issues are the economy and crime, and overwhelmingly we're seeing people agree that Republicans are the right people to tackle these issues moving forward. And here's another interesting element. How many people like the lady we played earlier? Have you heard say that they're lifelong registered Democrats and they're voting Republican for the first time? Let me ask you, have we encountered a single lifelong registered Republican who in this election cycle plans on voting Democrats? I haven't seen a single one, I'm sure. They exist falling for some of the blue and non-conspiracies and MSNBC nonsense, but they're certainly not as prevalent as angry Democrat voters who are defecting from the party. And we keep seeing these voters pop up one after another. And they're all essentially saying the same thing. And one thing that I've noticed, which is really astonishing, is that most of them are women. And that backs up the New York Times female voter analysis that we covered from 2 weeks ago. Female voters, suburban mothers who take care of family finances and budgets, the ones dealing with the grocery bills and basic cost of goods, the ones who experienced Democrat education policies over the last couple of years firsthand. Those are the lifelong Democrat voters that are defecting from the party. And for me, friends, that spells doom for the Democrats heading into the next election. Barring any funny business. Democrats are going to need a magic trick here. They're going to need to pull off a last-minute miracle to turn this thing around. And as I keep saying, I'm just not seeing it. Raphael Warnock's campaign is tanking. John Fetterman, his campaign is taking as well, and that already puts the Republicans in Senate majority territory of a couple other pins fall, which are in my opinion quite likely. Well, then the Blue Ain on Twitter crowd is going to be in for a very rude awakening, as the voters send them a clear message that this short-lived left-wing Democrat Party is officially over. And this is some big news. We've got not one but 3 bombshells coming out of Twitter over the last 24 hours, with the final one actually exposing the deep state like never before. We're going to discover each one in turn and find out why Musk's dismantling of the former woke apparatus at Twitter involves nothing less than the dismantling of the deep state itself. You're not going to want to miss this. The fallout from Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter continues with at least 3 huge developments of the last 24 hours. First and foremost, Musk has fired Twitter's board of directors, giving himself unfettered control of the social media giant. Musk is now officially the quote sole director of Twitter, this according to documents filed with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission on Monday. Now, over the last several months, Musk has hardly been shy in voicing his loathing the Twitter board, and at the very least, Musk promised that he would be cutting the salaries of board members when he takes over. Well, now we're seeing firsthand that Musk has no time for Twitter. Most especially the now fired CEO Parag Agrawal. As many of you I'm sure know, a girl was a horrific violator of free speech, and has been for some time. In an interview with Technology Review back in 2020, he said, quote, "Our role at Twitter is not to be bound by the First Amendment. But our role is to serve a healthy public conversation, and our moves are reflective of things that we believe now that again, we believe lead to a healthier public conversation. The kinds of things that we do about this is focused less on thinking about free speech, but thinking about how the times have changed. Well, times have certainly changed, but of course, not the way that Agrawal had hoped. Now McGraw is headed for the unemployment line along with every single one of Twitter's former woke board, but that's where things just got started. Wait until you see what Elon Musk just uncovered." Shortly after the firings were announced, the New York Times reported that the board would be fired without pay, because Musk claimed he had just cause for firing them. In other words, they weren't being fired simply because they were too woke and would no longer fit with the culture free speech at Twitter. No, they were being fired because of some kind of just cause. Yesterday, Elon Musk tweeted out a bombshell accusing the Twitter board along with their law firm Watch Tale of deliberately hiding evidence from the court. Musk highlighted a tweet from a fella by the name of Ul Roth. Now, if you don't know, Roth has been reported as the one who blocked the Hunter Biden laptop story before the 2020 election. He's also been reported to have referred to members of the Trump administration as, quote, actual Nazis. He apparently was responding to the Women's March just after President Trump was inaugurated in January 2017. When he tweeted out rather snidely, "Yes, that person in the pink hat is clearly a bigger threat to your brand of feminism than actual Nazis in the White House." He referred to Trump as a racist. Tangerina. I mean, the guy's piece of work. He clearly operates with a sewer for a moral imagination. I doubt he'll have a job much longer. He's still a Twitter, if you can believe it. But here with this tweet that Musk highlighted, it appears that he's clearly complaining. Ul is complaining about OKRs or objectives and key results that were backed by fraudulent metrics that were apparently hidden from evidence presented to the court of the last few months. And the action went so far as to say that they were doing precisely what Elon was accusing them of doing. So now we've got a bombshell tweet from this rabidly anti-Trump fact-checker on Twitter. That vital information, key user data, was indeed hidden during the acquisition process, and this explains why the board was just fired without pay. But then at the same time, we've gone to third bombshell, and that's the revelation in that executives from Twitter as well as Facebook regularly held meetings with the Department of Homeland Security to discuss deliberate censorship and a wide range of topics, including the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. Obviously, the coronavirus and faxes, and even tweets about racial justice and BLM. This, according to documents leaked to The Intercept. Tucker Carlson exposed this bombshell on the show last night, in his interview with Lee Fang at The Intercept, who broke the story. Everyone listen to this. This seems like a really important story, which is for some reason being ignored. Do we get the outlines? The administration is working with the tech companies to censor people? Yeah, that's right. You know, Tucker, we looked at really hundreds of documents that paint a vivid picture of the FBI, the DHS closely collaborating with the top social media platforms, Twitter and Facebook, to censor various forms of content under the banner of fighting disinformation. And the story shows a couple of things. 1. It shows what you just mentioned, a very cozy relationship between the government and these tech giants. There's those monthly meetings that you just mentioned, but also just very cozy emails and texts. Not a very adversarial relationship. You know, We looked at one text, where Microsoft executive Tex, Jen Easterly, the top disinfo director at DHS, appointed by Biden, basically saying the government needs to get more comfortable with the government. They're closely collaborating on reports talking about the expanded role for DHS in censoring a really broad collection of topic areas of policy and political topics. And, just broadly speaking of the story also just looks at the mission creep of DHS. This is an agency that was founded in the aftermath of 9/11 to combat foreign terror threats of Al-Qaeda and the like. But over the last 5 years, it's kind of evolved in its mission, it's moved towards fighting disinfo. And their justification is, disinformation radicalizes. The homeland can lead to disruptions in public health, or in political violence. So they have a justification. We have these documents, and they're pushing forward with this broad censorship agenda. Yeah, that's some pretty chilling stuff there. The big tech oligarchy, most especially Twitter, had been working together with the government weaponizing national security in order to shut down free speech. It's as authoritarian and anti-democratic as one could possibly get. And yet, of course, we're the Nazis. Right, we're the authoritarians. Now you can see what the legacy media is so panicked over here with Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter. We're actually finding out more and more each day that when you look under the hood of Twitter, you get a glimpse of the whole of the deep state apparatus, which means that the deep state is being more and more exposed than ever before, and thus eventually, inevitably, more and more dismantled. Thank you very much. WWG1WGA. Give me your thoughts below and hit subscribe.